Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of Chasing Collectibles Catchup. I'm Tyler, and very excited to have with us today someone local in Fort Mill, Steven Seibert with Collecting Problems. It's so cool to have a shop here in Fort Mill. So, Steven, thanks for joining us today.
Oh yeah, thanks for having me.
It's super exciting. I used to work for Nickel Spot Comics uh, before it went kind of completely online and then kind of shifted gears. And then I've shopped at Dave's Comics for that. So it's really good to have a comic book store in Fort Mill.
Oh yeah, I moved here right after I think right after Nickel Spot was gone. Um, but I've met Dave a few times and I've done his show, so I've kind of got an idea of the history of shops in Fort Mill.
Right. Yeah, it's a good
Even though
good continuation to have it going still.
yeah, I'm not directly downtown like they were, but it's pretty cool to have the chance to do it.
Right.
It's too bad they weren't here anymore. But you never want to see like a small business leave. But it did give me the opportunity to hopefully do something that lasts a while.
Yeah, for sure. Well, comic books we've got like comic books that have like origin stories and all that. So how'd you first get into like collecting and comic books and all that originally?
I mean, I've always kind of been into a little bit of everything. I'm probably more into like physical media, records, movies. But comics have always been a part of that. And I went through a big action figure phase too, and so it's like I've kind of been through every collecting phase that you could imagine. So
Right.
so I had a little bit of everything. Um, when I got into opening the shop, and I've kind of found that it's helped having kind of a little bit of everything. Um, Around because then you're not just all in on comics
Right.
or all in on records.
Mhm. Now, did you have like any certain like shows or anything like that that you watched like growing up that kind of inspired certain figures that you like to collect, or just kind of all over the place? Or
It is just really all over the place. I mean, as I've mostly been, the things that turn kind of crosses over different types of collectibles has been like horror stuff
Hmm,
in general. But I mean, with toys and stuff, I was a Ninja Turtles kid.
nice.
Did a little with Transformers and GI Joes as well. So, and that's all like coming back around now, and it's been popular again. So that's kind of been cool too to see.
Yeah, for sure. So then you were like me, you were originally a teacher. You taught high school for a while. And you were an English teacher. Like, what kind of made you kind of like make the jump to going from teaching into running a small business like this?
Well, I mean, it's kind of always been something that I've wanted to eventually do. Um, and I was here and teaching for about a year and a half, and just a location, an affordable location became available, and
Hmm.
that's kind of impossible to get in Fort Mill these days.
Right. Yeah.
So, it kind of seemed like one of those things where, while I was thinking it might be like 5 to 10 years away, I was like, this might be the only chance I get to
Yeah.
get a location. And I had the inventory, I had the credit score, like
Mm.
everything was kind of like just there at the time. So it felt like um, I wasn't a big fan of having to leave the school at the halfway point in a year like that.
Right.
But um, it's all usually good to finish out the year. Um, but it did just seem kind of like a bunch of stuff was just falling into place, and kind of seemed like an opportunity I couldn't pass up.
Yeah, no, I mean, for when like you sometimes like you have a plan, but then if everything lines up, it's like you got to change the plan.
Right.
Do you still get to see any of it? Like, do you have any former students that still pop in?
Yeah. Yeah. There's some that come by. Mine are almost, I had a lot of ninth and 10th graders, and we're going on 3 years here now. So a lot of mine are taking off and going off to college and stuff now. So, but,
Right.
but I have seen a few of them over the years, and still do have a couple that I would consider regulars.
Nice. I've kind of noticed something over the years that like a lot of my there's a big like the Venn diagram of like comic book slash collectible nerds and teachers is actually pretty similar. Like there's a lot of teachers that I know, administrators, like they're into comic books. The like I know there's someone at the district office that I'm friends with is big into comics. One of my mentors and maybe want to go into teaching. He was a big comic book fan. So I think it's kind of interesting how many people are like teachers, but also, kind of nerds,
Oh yeah, oh yeah.
I don't know if there's a reason for like what the reason for that would be. I don't know if just like we're nerds about our both our content and also happen to be nerds for comic books. I don't know what the you know.
Yeah, I don't either, and I don't know. Like sometimes I think it might almost be a generational thing, and we might be the
Mhm.
last generation that's like, I mean, because I didn't even lump comics in with physical media when I mentioned like the movies and the records, but I mean, comics are physical media.
Yeah,
Um, and I don't know, we might just be the last generation that kind of sees like something you can hold in your hand is a point of nostalgia almost. But I mean, at the same time, I have a lot of like college age kids in here buying records and comics too. So I don't know. I, I
yeah,
don't know if it's generational or if it's
the
personality.
career.
I don't
Yeah,
know. Yeah.
I mean, I certainly hope to. I mean, I feel like there's a stronghold of like still some younger people that are into physical stuff, and I hope it stays that way because I think there is something inherently nice about having something you can touch and hold and also like talking about movies and TV shows, you never know with these streaming services when they decide like, all right, we're taking this off now
Oh
and
yeah.
you can't have it
Mhm.
anymore,
Oh
the
yeah.
loss of
Definitely.
media and all that.
Mhm.
So how has it been running the store? So it's been a couple years now. How long has it been since you started the store?
Uh, actually, about a month from now, yeah, January 4th will be our 3 year um, anniversary, I guess you could say. Um, and it's it's been up and down, little scary at times. When it gets slow and you're in here by yourself, you start worrying a bit. But
Mhm.
overall, it's been pretty solid and consistent as far as sales go, and I'm still like finding and meeting new people all the time. There's always new people finding the place, so that helps because especially in the age of like social media marketing, if you go a while seeing the same people or seeing foot traffic decrease, you're like, is anybody even seeing my stuff? And
Right.
then all of a sudden there will be a month or two where it's just all these new people showing up. It's like, okay, maybe it is working for me.
Yeah.
So it's different kind of like mental stress, I think, that
Hmm.
that was didn't necessarily come along with teaching.
Yeah.
Um, or it's more of a economic or financial like thing in the back of your head all the time. Um, but it's been good. I mean, I've really liked it. And, I can't don't want to badmouth teaching too much, but it is definitely a freedom that I've never had because I mean I've been a teacher since I was out of college, and before that I was in high school and I was in school, so it's like my life has
Right.
always revolved
Yeah.
around a school
School.
schedule.
Yeah.
So it actually felt really weird for like the first year that I was just like, wait, I'm just going to my shop and doing whatever I want. Like,
Right. There's no bell that's gonna go off in an hour and a half. That's like, all right,
yeah,
switch classes.
yeah, I like almost didn't know what to do with myself.
Yeah. It is definitely like it's a different environment because like having worked in a comic book store before, like it's just so different and it's cool. Like your uniform can just be like, all right, here's my comic book t-shirt and here's my
Right?
jeans and no one's gonna be like, hey, is it Friday? Like, should you be wearing jeans
Yeah.
today? Like I can wear whatever I want.
Oh yeah.
That's awesome. And it's like, really, really cool you've gotten to have the store and you had like some Black Friday sales last week, right?
Mhm.
That's cool.
Yeah, we did Black Friday. It was pretty busy. Um, I think that's kind of made for this week to be a little bit slow because I think everyone
Hmm.
came in last Friday and Saturday. Um,
Yeah.
but that's these like up and down waves in retail that um, they're interesting to watch and follow. Sometimes interesting. in a not so good and anxiety driven way. But
Right.
um, but I mean, it's kind of expected. Retail is weird. November and December is a huge portion of um, how you set a budget for like the next 6 months. So
Yeah.
Black Friday is, even though everything's on sale, right? It's still a boost that really takes you into that next year.
Mhm.
And this one was good. This one was good. I mean, they've all been pretty good. Every year's gotten a little bit better, and we're pretty confident about keeping this thing moving.
Yeah. Well, too, I mean, talking about like challenges, I think something that's hard because we do shows and stuff, and like with comics and but really any product, comics or physical media, like it's just like keeping track of prices because
Hmm.
it's like it's not like okay, this thing is $5 and it will always be $5. It's like prices go up, they go down, they go like I know when we first started doing shows in 2022, and prices for comics were pretty high in 2022, and shows were really busy. And then like since then, like we had a few months ago, we had to sit down and like really go through a lot of our inventory. But, like we still have some 2022 prices on these things, and we had to sit there and like we gave ourselves some heartburn, but we had to like, oof, this is not this anymore. So I think that's a major challenge of any retail situation, especially when the prices are kind of fluid.
Oh yeah, definitely. And I mean, I find myself doing it in here too. It's the same thing. It's like, oh, this has been $40 since we opened and it
Mhm.
hasn't sold, and I'll go look it up. It's like, yeah, you'd be lucky to get 20 for this now. Um,
Right.
so
It,
yeah, there is. It's something you kind of got to pay attention to, and the sales help that too because when you have 30% off on Black Friday, even if you're 30% off on the price, like, well,
mhm.
on Black Friday it was a good deal. So
Yeah.
sometimes that works, but it is something like, I've been, most of the stuff on the wall, and I'm always looking at it, and like, especially if something sat there for too long,
Right.
and I got to go back and look that up again.
Hmm.
Um, so it is this constant thing. Um, I'm not as good about finding the things that are like shooting up in value and like running
Hmm.
around and like marking stuff up. Like I don't do all that.
Yeah.
Um, uh, because it just feels kind of dirty to me. Um, and I also want people to find good deals. Um, but there's also like, with comic books, it's a lot of hype. So it's like, if it shoots up, you know, if you didn't mark it up within the week or the 2 week
Yeah.
span
Yeah.
that was all hyped up, then it's back down and you're good. So
Yeah.
I've never felt like I've like lost a ton of money by not pricing things right, but
Hmm.
I do think I've probably given some pretty good deals at times that
Well,
didn't
if
end
anything,
up.
that's a good advertisement for people to come here because I know that there's a whole debate online about I think this kind of went viral within a like a comic book community of like people at the comic book store like having a sign that says, "Hey, basically like the final price, like we determine the final price when you bring it up." So like let's
Uh,
say it was like the book was actually marked at $1, but then they're like, "Oh, let me see that. Actually, no, it's 10." I think that's kind of a little shady. It's like if you didn't catch that this is actually now a $20 book since you priced it, like I don't and the person noticed it before you did, like I think that's kind of, you know,
yeah, doing it at the counter is
right. That's just kind
yeah. I I just how I would feel as the person buying that. Like, yeah, I would probably, if I did buy it, I probably wouldn't go back there. So,
right. I think
you
it's
know,
different if you happen to notice like, oh, this I found online that this book we have happens to be it's 10, now it's 20, and you change the price before someone notices.
yeah,
I think that's valid.
yeah,
But someone brings it to you like, actually, let me look on eBay. Oof, this is a $30 book now. It's like, that's kind of
yeah, yeah. If you found it in the store, knew to look it up or whatever, like, yeah, and did it when nobody was there, like, sure. I mean, places do it all the time.
right.
Um, any eBay seller is doing that on eBay all the time.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, I couldn't imagine like changing the price on somebody at the counter like that.
Right. That just seems like Oof. No.
Yeah.
Now going down in price, people love that. Going up.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Well, and I mean, I guess that's kind of one of the things in here with like having so many different, I guess, markets
Hmm.
to track. Like, I I do miss stuff like that all the
Hmm.
time. Like, so there's probably some, now that it's been a while, my first 6 months, it was just things were just piling here, and
Right.
people probably found amazing deals. Now it's pretty stable, and I've seen and looked at everything. It's probably no like nobody's stealing anything at this point,
Right.
but I mean, I do try to like at least kind of pay attention to market value of things when they come in, and I try to price things below what cover price says or what eBay says, because
Mhm.
they're all, if cover price says it's $10, I put 7 on it, just because cover price is pulling from eBay, which is
Hmm.
usually building in fees and shipping and all that. So like,
Right.
I try to be as fair as possible when I first put it out, so I don't have to like be too paranoid about things changing or fluctuating on me.
Yeah.
But I mean,
I think
it's like you said, the 2022 thing. Like, I mean, it happens all the time. Like, I'll look around if I'm like, I'm sure there's something that I haven't caught at this point, and I'm like looking at my wall while I'm talking about it. Like,
right.
there's got to be something in there that like people are probably looking at, like, man, this guy's crazy, and eventually I'm going to figure it out and be like, oh yeah, that's insane. Why is that priced like that? Like, because it is. It's the last 3 years have been kind of rough, which is kind of good that I came in when I did, because I didn't like overpay for
Oh yeah.
anything, and
Yeah, exactly.
I
Which I
kind of
think
came in as the market was evening out.
and I think in any case, like, I'm sure you've been there, we've been there, someone points out to you like, hey, I looked, wherever this is actually going for blood and they can prove it. It's like, okay, I'd be like, okay, cool. That's the price.
Oh
I'll
yeah,
lower the price. Sorry
yeah,
about that.
yeah. I mean, 9 times out of 10, I'm totally cool with it, just because I'm here to sell the stuff. Like,
Right. I'd
it's not
rather
a
it move than just
museum.
sit
Yeah,
there.
I don't want it sitting around. I'm here to sell. I mean, there's stuff you kind of get stuck with if you overpaid for it in the first place, and like you're not willing to lose on it. Might want to just take it off the shelf, like
Yeah, exactly.
So and that happens too. I usually just cut my losses and move on to the next thing, because I'm here to sell. Like,
Right, exactly. Well, so if someone's never been to your store, because I've popped in a few times, I live in Rock Hill, so I just kind of like, you know, when I can come in, I've come in. How would you describe your store to somebody? Like, I've never been in there. Like, what all can they find in your store?
I mean, I'd say it's just a little bit of everything for all ages. We do cards, comics, music, movies, books. Um, the vinyl and movies have really picked up recently, but I would still say about you know 50% of the stock, and probably 75% of the consistent sales are coming from comics. Um, Cards is kind of my smallest thing, but I do like to have it around. So I mean, there's things for kids in here. We've got a kind of bargain bins, and like even like thrift store type inventory in a couple sections with like old loose toys and dollar bin type stuff. So I mean, I think it really does fit kind of any collector niche and any budget, really.
Right. Well, I know and it's been a little bit since I've been in, but I know like right behind you, like is the room with the comics. And I think like down the hall, you've got a little nook for the vinyls too. So it's kind of cool. You've got like
Mhm.
multiple spaces for different things.
Yeah, there's multiple rooms. So when people first pull up, if they've never been here, you look at the outside, it looks really small. Even looking in the window, it looks like it's just one room with like an
Hmm.
office. Um, but yeah, it goes all the way back. I mean, it's 1,500 square feet.
Nice.
One, two, three, four, five, 6 rooms.
Hmm.
And yeah, every room kind of has its different thing: the book room, movie room, music room.
Nice.
Yeah.
We kind of touched on it earlier too. Like I noticed you do have a lot of like horror collection stuff. So like, are you big into like horror movies? So do you just
I am. I mean, for the most part, that's if I was, to I all of the stuff, even the stuff I keep, I don't keep for very long, and it's usually like I call it future inventory or future show inventory. Um, but I would say like most of my stuff, even when you get into like music, I do a lot of soundtracks,
Mhm.
a lot of horror stuff, um, metal music, which kind of goes hand in hand with horror a lot of
Oh
times.
yeah.
Um, when I did the figure thing, I did a lot of horror. Um, but I mean, it's also kind of one of those markets that I feel like, horror comics, books,
Yeah.
movies, horror, that is just, that sells.
Yeah.
And it does well. And I do Mad Monster a couple times a year. Um, it's like the only show so far I've gotten to with any sort of regularity. So I've always kind of got that like horror inventory ready to go. And I've got a lot of regulars that are collectors of it too.
Hmm.
But I mean, like I said, I've always kind of been into a little bit of everything. That's why I had a little bit of everything and kind of wanted to shop that had a variety of things. Um, so I'm not 100% horror, and I don't even really like personally collect anymore. But I do have, a hundred records, a couple hundred movies, but that doesn't mean that they're not all going to end up on a shelf one day, like, or
Right.
taken to a show. It's kind of like I've just got this revolving collection now. Is kind of the way I see it.
Yeah.
That is like one of the harder things about this. It's gotten easy now. It's a lot easier now, but just like cutting emotional ties to things, or
Yeah.
when you buy a collection, you're like, well, I kind of want half of it. Like,
Yeah.
no, like it's got to go on the shelf. So,
Right. I kind of had a recent experience with that too. I bought a tiny collection. I was like, oh man, this is a cool book. It'd be neat to have this in my collection. I was like, no, this is like the most important book in the collection. Like you need to, if you want to get
yeah,
your money back, you gotta say goodbye, you know?
yeah, and that's always how it is. Like it's always the most expensive thing that I'm like, I really want to keep that.
Hmm.
It's like, oh, that's where your money is. So,
Right. Um, well, you've mentioned records a few times, and I do comics, but I've also like in the past few years really moved more into records. I'm a big like classic rock fan. Spotify told me my age was 75,
oh, nice.
based on my music interest. Um, but what kind of music do you find yourself leaning toward?
I mean, Spotify probably in the last year, probably I haven't looked yet at my little report for this year. But it's probably very like death metal heavy this year. Last year it was very Nick Cave and Tom Waits
Nice.
heavy. Um, but I've also had years where it's been like BB King and Lead Belly. So like, I mean, I get into a little bit of everything. Um, like I said, I mean, metal for the most part, but I mean, as far as like, my records go, I've got blues, I've got, I mean, the beginning of, the music that I like remember listening to and getting into was Bob Dylan, Led Zeppelin. So I mean, like the classic rock is still, and I mean that's still the stuff that sells really well in here. I
Right.
mean, the classics of that best selling, artists of all time still are. Um, Out of all the death metal I listen to, like, Pink Floyd is probably my number one band of all time. Like,
Yeah.
so, I think I'm pretty eclectic when it comes to musical genres.
Yeah.
There's a couple I can't stand, but I don't want to offend anyone. So.
Yeah. Well, I've talked about this with other people on the show that everyone's got something. So like if you may not like it, it's like I don't want to like disparage somebody for liking something, I don't want anyone to feel weird about, you know.
Right.
Um I have a record player in my classroom, so I basically keep my record collection during the school year at the school. And I love playing like classic rock and all that. I'm trying to convert my students to be Dylan fans.
Nice.
And some of them appreciate him, but some of them they can't get around his voice. I'm like, guys, it's
Yeah.
not that I like his voice. My wife doesn't. She makes fun. She has a Bob Dylan impression she does to kind of tease me about him. I think his songwriting is great. I mean, he's like one of the most famous
Hmm.
songwriters of all time. But
Oh yeah, no, and he's always kind of been famous and infamous for that. Like,
oh
yes,
yeah,
he's one of the greatest songwriters with one of the most annoying voices. I don't think his voice is annoying,
yeah,
but I could see how people it could like grind on people. And I mean,
yeah.
I listen to Tom Waits, like the
Hmm.
craziest, weirdest voice ever. Like he drives
Hmm.
most people crazy. Um, but I mean, even he's got a fan base. So
Right. Everyone, people have followers. Everyone's got
yeah,
somebody.
yeah. And I mean, yeah, and I mean, Bob Dylan's been around forever. And I do think, I mean, as far as a songwriter goes, he's one of the best. I listen to a lot of death metal, but I think Masters of War is like the angriest song that I've like ever heard.
Yeah,
And it is just forever like just burned into me. Like,
yeah. No, it's great. I mean, you listen to the lyrics, and uh, I think not to like. I know we were talking. We were doing Facebook Messenger. I noticed that like you did not to stalk or anything, but I know you had like a. I think your profile picture was still the freewheeling
free
or
willing.
something I
Yeah.
wore at one point. It was, and I just that entire album is great. But like when you sit there and really listen to
Mhm.
Masters of War, like it's just like scathing.
Yeah.
The like, I know one thing that Jesus can never forgive the things that you do is like, dang, like that's,
Yeah.
you know.
Oh yeah. And that's one of my favorite albums of all time. I've
Hmm.
been I've been just like weekly changing and putting a different album cover on my Facebook profile
Yeah,
um, lately, and it's Tom Waits this week.
nice.
Um, but but yeah, I
Did
was had just recently got. Yeah, I've had the freewheeling on pretty much every format,
you,
um, but I had just recently picked up that vinyl, so got me thinking
have you-
about it. And I re-listened to it, and it's still like, yeah, the whole album is still just so good.
right? Um, have you listened to the Eddie Vedder cover of that from his like it's like there's a Bob Dylan like celebration that did I think it was like the early '90s and he did a cover of it. And it's just like with his vocals, it just in
Yeah.
singing those lyrics, it's awesome.
Oh no, I haven't heard it, but I mean, I could definitely see him doing it. Like that
Yeah.
makes sense. Yeah, check that out.
Yeah, it's I mean I could go on the weed. I don't won't go too far in the weeds as I know I like lose people going too far into the Dylan rabbit hole. But I mean I just love all the different eras of him. I think
Oh
he's
yeah,
super cool. Like pretty much every few years just changing his personality entirely.
yeah.
You
Oh
know,
yeah.
so it's always fun to keep track of that. And I'm also a huge Beatles fan, so
Mhm.
and I'm sure that all does very well in the store as well. Anytime if you get anything like that.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah. Um, Well, I didn't. As we're kind of wrapping up here, I wanted to ask, like, what's your advice for someone who's like getting into collecting? Like, if someone wants to start collecting vinyls, if they want to start collecting comics or figures or just anything, like, what would you advise them on?
I mean, I'd almost treat it like gambling and say don't overspend. um,
Right. Yeah.
um, but I guess my biggest thing, it drives me nuts. And like, there's certain areas of collectors that are worse than others about it. But the whole like treating everything like a market and an
Mm,
investment, like I'm like I bought things to have fun with it. Like
yeah.
I opened my toys, I read my comics, I played my records. Like, so this whole like buying stuff to sit on for 50 years is just like, it's so weird to me. And most people don't understand how long you really do need to hold on to stuff for, um,
Hmm.
for it to become scarce and rare. Um, but I've just got these people that everything they won't buy it unless they think it's going to go up. Like, and
Yeah.
that drives me nuts. Like, so I would say, like, buy what you like and don't overspend. Like,
Hmm.
don't spend more than you can afford to spend because I am one. Like, and that's like the kind of the sarcasm in the name of the store. Um, I am more of a and not even really like a hoarder because I'm also always selling things. So I can't be called a hoarder either. But I am a very, and always was like very impulsive. And if I was like, oh, there's one Hellraiser figure, it wasn't like over the next 2 years, I'm going to buy the next eight. I was like, well, if I'm eventually going to buy them, I'm just going to buy them all right now.
Right.
Um,
Exactly.
it was like, so I was very like impulsive. And that kind of creates this cycle where you are always like, well, got to sell something to buy this next thing, and
Yeah.
then you don't enjoy things because you're always
Hmm.
trying to sell them off to buy something else.
Yeah.
So I'd say, yeah, watch your spending and do it for fun, not for investment's sake.
Yeah, I mean, I think investment's like a cool, like with my own personal collection. Like I've bought things because I wanted them, and then later on, like, oh, this is now this, and I'm like, oh, cool, that's good to know. But I don't sell it. It's like, oh, it went up. That's kind of a cool afterthought. But
Yeah.
or even like, I mean, I've bought some records for like on like record store day and all that, and like people will buy those and refuse to open them. And I'm like, the point of a record is to listen to the music. I don't understand, you know? Like,
Oh yeah.
uh,
Yeah. And I mean, it's yeah, I see it with comics a lot with the everybody bags and boards everything, and I don't even know if anyone's reading their comics anymore.
mhm.
Um, and you know, but everything's being bagged and boarded and like kept in as best condition as possible. So it's like
Yeah,
the odds of this stuff that we have now, like becoming as scarce as uh, your first 10 detective comics, or your first 10 amazing Spider-Mans, or your first 10 X-Men, like
right.
people keep everything now. Like they're
Mm,
all so much of this stuff is graded before it even hits the racks. Like,
yeah.
so it's like, if you think like it's already too late to save everything from the 1950s, like
Mhm.
so, and
It's
the people with their 80s books there, and I'm like, I don't know, save them for another 40 years, and they're already like
right.
50
The
years
the
old.
90s
And then,
books or the,
yeah,
you know,
so it's like,
Death of Superman.
yeah, I'm like, if you're buying all this stuff to invest, like, I mean, you might just end up like heartbroken. So like, just
Right.
enjoy it, like while
Yeah.
you have it, and like have fun with it, because a lot of stuff doesn't end up being worth a whole lot.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, people bring me stuff that I don't want all the time. It's not worth what they thought it was going to be worth, or it's not worth what they paid for it. And it's like those are really kind of like kind of sad and depressing conversations to have with people, because it's
Yeah.
like, sorry, like,
Yeah. Well, I think some people you eventually kind of lose the plot. Like, why did you get into this stuff? Why do you like comics in the first place? Are you buying it
mhm,
to because you like these things? Are you buying it to eventually make money? Like, we both sell comics, so you do, collectibles, you have to buy things to flip them and all that like that. But that's different. Like if you're just buying to collect, just think, why are you do you actually like this stuff or do you just
yeah,
see it as like stocks,
yeah, right, yeah. And I mean, buying it to flip it isn't all that glamorous. it's it's tiring. You got a lot of stuff that never sells. You
Right.
got, I mean, there's a lot of this whole like, I don't know, TikTok and YouTube culture where you see all these people
Hmm.
like, I found this $5,000 lamp at Goodwill, and I'm like, okay, maybe you did, maybe this is staged, but maybe you did. Like, is that gonna happen to you like once a month? Like,
Right.
it's not gonna happen. Like, I've bought three good like Silver Age comic collections in 3 years.
Yeah.
Like like your big money flips just like don't happen that often.
No,
and if you're
yeah. And I'm
and if you're digging through dollar bins at somebody's shop, like what are you gonna do? Flip $40,000 books for $2? Like I just don't know. Like, I like doing it, and I'm in a situation where I can at least try to do it right now.
mhm.
Um, but like, I really wish I would have had about $100,000 in the bank before I started and opened the place, because
Right.
you are always like, it's always this budgeting thing, and you're always like, you got to look a few months in advance, and you're always like, you always got to find inventory. You always need new inventory, and
Yeah.
it's just like, I had a lot of used stuff, and I wish I would have had probably twice as much used stuff when I started too.
Mhm.
Um, cause yeah, so like, the uh, maybe I'm lucky that I've been given the chance to do it, and that it's gone on for this long, because some people
Yeah.
don't even last 3 years. Um, but it's just like I couldn't imagine like just running to Goodwills and then trying to sell everything on eBay like 24 hours a day. Like just
It's a lot. I mean, I don't do this full time. I know I've got friends in the comic book community that I know like they do well, but I like in order to do well, you do have to be on a lot, going to conventions a lot, going like finding new books and new inventory. I mean, it's a lot. And it's impressive when people are able to do it well. But it's,
oh yeah.
I don't think you see all the work that goes into it, when you're
No,
just seeing like a quick video.
you don't. And conventions are on your weekends. A lot of
Yeah.
times they involve travel. There's a lot of cost that goes into conventions.
Yeah,
It's not
for
just a
sure.
table. Like,
Yeah.
you know, yeah, it's a lot. It's a lot. Those guys that travel, I think I'm lucky too that I really only have to do a few a year, and that's really
Mhm.
just to like for me like kind of a change of scenery type thing.
Right.
For I don't have to do them, but like I couldn't imagine all the traveling, and unpacking, and packing, and like
It's a lot.
those
Yeah,
guys
it
that
gets
do it all
tiring.
the
It's a
time,
long day.
man. Yeah, oh yeah.
Yeah. Well, I really, I think your shop is super cool. I love the diversity of it. I mean, I love that I could come and like, probably buy some comics, buy some records. Uh, I'd have to watch myself probably, to make sure I don't go too crazy. Um, but it's really cool what you're doing. I'm really glad that there's a shop in Fort Mill for people in the area to enjoy.
Oh yeah. Thanks for helping me spread the word.
Of course, man. And we appreciate you. And I hope the rest of the December is great for you and that you get to have a great holidays and all that.
Oh yeah, man. You have a good one.
Yeah, you too. Thank you.
Yeah, bye.
Bye.
Yay! Come